Where I live, people have Christmas motifs, and it goes from trees to vacations. I mean, it can be Victorian charm and Aspen or fruited bounty and Bermuda. And with any luck, it's something more agreeable than silver bells and relatives from Ohio. You see, our resort community of Hilton Head, it is known for the mixture of people and opportunities. So after vacationing here for several years and subsequently coming under what we now know is the Hilton Head ether, my husband and I decided to move here permanently. Now, to do so, we sold businesses, rental properties, and our historic home in Pennsylvania. And since our relocation, we've grown accustomed to holidays with prearranged themes. But a string of unexpected disasters turned our lives upside down. The homeowners and the business owners we financed either sued us or stopped paying us. Costly legal battles activated the erosion and slow destruction of our checkbook. Until one day we cashed in what we had left and gave it to a Christian investment program that housed drug addicts in Christian rehabilitation programs. Now, sadly, the determination was the program was a fraud and the government put the principals in jail, and we lost our life savings and our monthly income. Now, during this ordeal, our children must have questioned whether or not our Christian faith would be enough to sustain us, since it was Christians who caused us a great deal of our suffering. I didn't want them to lose faith in the power of prayer or give up on God. This concern frequently dampened my spirits. However, Christmas 2002 was destined to transform my concern into comfort. Here's the story. With circumstances being what they were, all I could come up with for our 2002 Christmas theme was Happy Crappy Christmas. My idea of a good Christmas this year was one where hubby and I would scrape together enough cash to buy some good groceries. And fortunately, these 3 children of ours, ages 18, 17, and 15, they are somewhat less materialistic than most of their peers. And more importantly, they all know the true meaning of Christmas. We understand it's not about the presents or the parties, but the holiday took aim and hit us anyway. Mid-December rolled in and I was making a heartfelt decision not to decorate much. A wreath, a nativity scene, and a few candles. That was going to be the extent of my effort. I looked at our boxes of handmade Christmas ornaments given to me by well-meaning people and immediately plunged into despair. I told the children, "We're not putting up Christmas crap. If you even think about displaying any Christmas crap, I'll poke your eye out." We had enough energy at least to wrap a stepladder with garland for our Christmas tree. But after viewing the saddest Christmas tree ever, Joe and I felt compelled to go to bed early, but we could hear our 3 teenagers laughing hysterically. The children had taken my Happy Crappy Christmas theme to heart. They retrieved some of our crappiest ornaments and made a game of it, throwing them onto the tree, despite my warning. If an ornament stuck, points were awarded. And then the higher up, the more points one received. The kids took turns aiming and hurling the homemade, one-eyed woolly sheep with other similarly flawed ornaments. And somehow, someone managed to throw a pair of scissors onto the tree. There were used gift bows, leather belts, strands of garland that landed in clumps, a gift bag from Cracker Barrel, a plastic bag from Walmart, the result of which was just hilarious. They finished off the hurl fest by arbitrarily tossing strands of lights onto the creation, and then planted our antique Santa stuffed doll front and center. Now, our Santa doll looked more like Satan than Saint Nick, to be honest, but he was front and center. So I put him with our angel tree topper, and it looked rather scandalous, I might tell you. Not only did Santa have his arm around the angel, his eyes were fixed on her in a very irreverent way. So I decided to add an inspirational book called God Allows U-Turns because it seemed necessary at the time, and I put it as the tree topper. Now, as we all know, this particular holiday never relaxes. Despite my attempts to remain reasonably stable for the sake of our children, There were times I did spill my guts. I repeatedly announced to whomever was within earshot, I hate Christmas. I dreaded the talks of Christmas cards, cookies, decorating, or anything to do with Christmas. Yet there was one invitation I couldn't resist. My friend, whom I shall call Mrs. Q, Q stands for quality. Well, Mrs. Q was the hostess for our community ladies ornament exchange, and Q is 100% first class. So attending a social event at the Q's home, I must tell you, it's like going to an ultra classy 5-star restaurant. Now, despite my dreary disposition, I decided I must not let this occasion slip by. But once again, my gut spilled out uncontrollably as I commiserated with a friend whose circumstances came within an inch of mine. She empathized as I complained about my husband's friend who just yesterday took advantage of his generosity. Oh, the nerve, she wailed. And he calls himself a... That's right, he's known far and wide as a Christian, I screeched in a semi-controlled ladylike tone. Now, with the stain of our recent loss still smoldering, I was unable to hold it in. Merry stinking Christmas, she declared under her breath. Bah humbug, we both said in unison. The day after the ornament exchange, like a Christmas amaryllis bulb coming to life, my attitude problem forced its way into full bloom as I continued to spew, this time on the internet. I felt a little better after dumping, but in the process, made myself into a complete fool. Not 5 minutes after clicking send, the phone rang. It was my husband, and he called to tell me that his friend, the object of my email fury, had just given him a Christmas card with a check in it for $500 merry dollars. I did rectify my miscommunications and repented. However, this humiliating yet pleasant surprise was the catalyst that launched our string of magical Christmas miracles and an unforgettable holiday U-turn. Now, while at the Christmas ornament exchange at Q's home, I had an additional outbreak, but it happened within earshot of Mr. and Mrs. Q. My lamentation began when I realized, the Q's children, they all play musical instruments. But our daughter Robin plays the cello. However, due to our lack of funds, Robin had to give up playing her beloved instrument. Perhaps if we had a normal life with less calamities, we could have given Robin a cello for her high school graduation, I leaked. But I wasn't done lamenting. Perhaps because I felt like Scarlett O'Hara, I added, somehow we'll get a cello. We will find a way, as if I could convert Pottery Barn velvet drapes into a wooden stringed instrument. Well, the Q's could only nod and sigh. But here's where it gets interesting. Less than 24 hours after I made that decree, out of the blue, someone gave us a cello. And the gift giver emphatically stated in the card, don't tell anybody it was me. That's all I asked. My husband, Joe, received the gift and kept the gift giver's identity secret, even though I told him, I already know who it was. It had to be the Q's. Just last night, I told him the sad story of Robin's life is not complete without a cello. It had to be them, I said. Nope, not them. I can assure you, he told me, it is not them. But the story doesn't end there. The magic has just begun. The cello did not come with a bow, and a decent cello bow costs around $400. Because of our dreary mess, I figured one of us would have to go to a stable and pluck some poor horse's tail until we had enough to make our own homemade bow to go with our cello. The very next day, someone gave us a check for $400. And they didn't know nothing about no cello, in desperate need of a bow. I had to put a topper on this story. Robin's siblings weren't expecting to celebrate anything more than her surprise blessing. It was still pretty much a happy, crappy Christmas for the other children. Then on Christmas morning, when we opened the door to let the dog out, we stumbled upon shopping bags filled with presents for our family from Santa. One intriguing present stood out among all the others. The tag read, for the Randisi family, open me first. And Joe wanted to bring it all in and spread it under our Christmas tree. But I insisted, leave it at the front door. I want the children to experience being rendered speechless as we have. Open me first was a ceramic dish with the words "Cherish the Magic" painted on it. It was plain to see our Secret Santa had lovingly picked out each gift. In our most prosperous days, we couldn't have done better than with this sneaky Santa. We started out with my happy, crappy Christmas motif and ended with "Cherish the Magic." Naturally, we had suspects in mind, but their anonymity had to be respected. Evidently, God was on the scene and he chose to mix it up for me. But the most remarkable thing about this whole story is that at the time I was writing a novel, the central theme of which is about people doing anonymous kind deeds. Now, while a handful of friends and family members knew about my work in progress novel, our Secret Santa and cello giver knew nothing about no novel. Given that God is the giver of all good gifts, we decided Christmas 2002 was his way of saying, hey y'all, let's celebrate my son's birthday. For the Randisis, Christmas 2002 wasn't about the unexpected and incredible presents. Our incredible fortune was experiencing the presence of God.